Okay, time for my last thought for now with regards to Christians disconnecting from social media and from the news. By now, you should have seen part one and part two. Part one, which is really focused more on the algorithm and how you can teach it. Part two was talking about how can you really say you're a part of outreach if you are not relevant enough to talk to people. So now we're into part three, which I want to speak as a youth leader. If you are an adult who is consciously disconnecting from social media, disconnecting from news or whatever's going on that will keep you informed, how can you reach young people? That is probably one of the number one things going on in churches, and that is we need to reach the young people. We need to reach the young people. We need to reach the young people. However, the adults are so busy trying to distance themselves from everything that is important, everything that is relevant to a young person, that you'll never reach them. You are literally creating different planets, different orbits, because you won't bother to see what's going on in the world around them. If you don't know what's happening, how are you going to have a conversation with them to make sure they aren't falling into traps? I was watching a video recently, and it's a lot going on around us. And as time goes on, more gets revealed. Now, for me, it just pushes me closer to having a relationship with God and making sure my relationship is tight, lock and step with my Lord and Savior. However, for some, it can be like, oh my gosh, oh, I am just. Now we're back to that balance. Yes, you must be able to get into your word and understand what God is saying to you. And you must also have that relationship with God wherein you can have that communication. Not you always talking, as in I've seen some people say, oh, I'm praying all day. How are you praying all day? And when do you listen? A good portion of prayer is, yes, you're talking to God about what's going on. You're having that conversation, but you want to hear what he has to say to you. Okay. So we're back on track with if you're disconnected and you don't know what's going on, but you have a young person in your life or one in the life of a friend, any of those things, check the boxes. How can you alert them about what they should be aware of? How do they avoid it? How do they not get pulled into certain traps? Yes, we can talk about the trafficking. That is common. However, the great majority of young people are heavy into gaming, heavy into the internet. And when I tell you there is a world out there that stems out of the gaming industry, that moves into levels of the dark web that most Christians cannot fathom, it will blow your mind. But guess what? You don't know about it because you're disconnecting. You're just making sure you only read the word and listen to Brooklyn Tabernacle. So you have no idea how to even properly prepare the next generation for what may be coming along. I threw a few words out in the other one just to see, do you know about this? Well, do you know about nihilists? Do you know about extreme leftists? Do you know about Valhalla? Okay, just 3 words I'm throwing out. But a lot of this information are things that I am taking time to make sure I learn. So that when I'm coming across other people, especially young people, I can give them that information that they can't get from anywhere else. Things they need to know so they can be alert and making sure in the midst of all this, you're growing your relationship with God to the point where, no, you won't be shifted, but you won't be caught off guard either. Yes, God can talk to you and show you all kinds of things. But how do you put it in context if you aren't even bothering to learn on your own? So again, no, I will not support Christians fully dropping off the planet, disconnecting, and going into a private room and not making fun of it, but it is something that is happening. And that was the people who were preparing for the rapture. And they had been given instructions that if you did not want to be raptured away in this round, because supposedly there are multiple rounds. So if you weren't ready to be raptured in this first round, then you put some foil on your head, and that was to signify, God, that you didn't want to go. Now, what I just said, some people are like, what the world? What? That's, yes, happening September 2025. Very active situation. How do you talk to your young people about it to make sure they're aware, to make sure they're not caught off guard by someone who may be able to speak very eloquently and make that all sound very believable and palatable. If you don't know what's happening because you have disconnected, how are you supposed to know? All right, so I don't know if that is the last in this series, but I felt like it was at least 3 things to consider. Number 1, teach the algorithm. Number 2, how can you say you're a part of outreach and you want to reach others for Christ when you have no idea what's going on and you cannot have a regular conversation with anybody outside of your church or ministry? And number 3, how can you mentor, talk to, prepare the next generation if you don't even know how to prepare and talk to them? And no, the automatic out is not. Y'all stay in your word, and that's an automatic out, which has gotten the church nowhere. Because the young people will continue to learn from their peers and they'll continue to learn in the streets. And if you're not going to be knowledgeable enough to offset what they're hearing in a manner where you can give clarity to that situation, then you've already lost them.